I'm Basia Sokolowska, taking you through my creative alphabet. Today I'd like to talk about my equivalents, a series of black and white photographs that I took as a thank you gesture to Georgia O'Keeffe, whose life and art was very important guide in my own art practice. I talked about Georgia O'Keeffe and the way her life and work resonates with me in an earlier episode of my creative alphabet. So, as I mentioned there were many different aspects that I found interesting and very valuable. So, when it came to making an art project referring to Georgia O'Keeffe, I had to think again and come up with um, sort of the essence of uh, our connection. And I came up with two things. One was the wonderful way in which Georgia O'Keeffe moved between the abstract and the organic, and the way she used organic forms to create abstract images. And the second, much more personal, was um, the inspiration that came from Georgia O'Keeffe's biography and her years in New Mexico and her chow companions. It was from reading her letters and looking at the photographs of Georgia O'Keeffe and her chows that I fell in love with that breed and invited a splendid chow into my life. It was Manchu, of course, and I'm very grateful to Georgia O'Keeffe for that, because Manchu turned out to be a very special creature, like all chows are, and greatly enriched my life in many ways. So then I thought, how do I combine the two, the abstract, organic, and Manchu, into a series of images which would refer to Georgia O'Keeffe? It was a bit of a tall order, and of course, one thing I didn't want to do was to emulate Georgia O'Keeffe's images. I just wanted to kind of go a little bit deeper and find a new sort of language to talk about my connection with her. One thing that came to rescue was Georgia O'Keeffe's correspondence with Alfred Stieglitz, her husband, a photographer, and the way he moved towards abstraction in photography, which I think in many ways was inspired by Georgia O'Keeffe's art and Georgia O'Keeffe's ideas, and the way a certain synergy between them, creative synergy between them. Alfred O'Keeffe made a series of black and white photographs called equivalents. They were supposed to be abstract images, and his purpose in making these images was to liberate photography from representing the reality that's behind it. Sort of, he wanted to untie that link, which he did. Well, he was a little bit annoyed that people looking at these images kept guessing what it was that he photographed, because that wasn't the idea. And I thought that even the title equivalence referred to Georgia O'Keeffe's saying that she didn't want to paint what she saw, she wanted to paint the emotional and spiritual equivalents of what she saw. And these equivalents were abstract images. So what I did, I made my own equivalents, pretty much in the same visual form as Alfred Stieglitz did it. But instead of clouds, I photographed wisps of Manchu's fur. Now, Manchu shed enormous amount of fleece every spring, provided me with sort of great substance to work with. So I worked with this wonderful wool, this material, and made it into forms which are reminiscent of clouds and of abstract photographs of clouds by Alfred Stieglitz. So in that way, I sort of connected also this wonderful creative relationship between Georgia O'Keeffe and Alfred Stieglitz, and also referred to this very important moment in the history of photography, which was a kind of a thinking about photography and the photographic medium beyond the reality, which is essential for the image to be created.